I'm Mara.
And I'm Mom, and today, as you might have guessed, we're going to be talking about Squid Game while we eat some yummy Korean street food. So what should we start with?
Well, we have to start with the squid, of course.
So we got some deep fried squid, which in Korean it's called ojingo tigim. And if you can't see it, and there's some dipping sauce that we could try. Let's try this. It's nice and hot. They just made it. That's really good. I think they did a really good job frying it. The batter's really good, and it's flavorful but not salty.
The batter's really good. I don't really like squid though, so.
What do you think about this squid though?
It's pretty good. It's still really chewy, like most squid is.
So here's a tentacle. So without spoiling the whole show for those of you who haven't watched it yet, we were going to just give you a real general idea of what the show is about and then talk about some cool topics.
So a bunch of people that are like really poor and they are in a lot of debt, they get recruited to join the Squid Games, and so they have to play a series of 6 games and they can win a big prize at the end.
So they don't know exactly how much they're going to win, and they don't know what games it is, but it turns out to be kids games. So it seems very innocent, but you know, you may want to steer away from having the little ones watch it because it is a little bloody and gory and there's a lot of violence in it. So one of the topics that I wanted to talk about is our favorite characters, and as you can tell, we're dressed in Squid Game gear. So my favorite character is 199. His name is Ali. What about you?
And mine's 067 and her name is Sebyeok.
So Sebyeok means like early morning or middle of the night, so it's not a common name, and it's actually really pretty. And so I feel like we may see a lot of Sebyeoks in the future with new babies being born, because it is actually a really pretty name.
Yeah.
So tell us why she is your favorite character.
I think when you first meet her, she doesn't seem like the most kind person. Like, she pickpockets the main character, and that's like when you first see her. But as the show goes on, she becomes like really sweet, and you learn like why she is trying to win a bunch of money, and she's just like so caring for everybody, and she's also really cute.
Yeah, in the beginning she's really rough around the edges, and you don't really understand her character until further into the show.
Yeah.
But I ended up liking her quite a bit at the end too. The reason why I like Ali and he's my favorite character is because from the beginning you could see that he was a really kind and caring person. You'll see in the very first game he saves the life of the main character, and I thought he risked his own life to save this person he doesn't know. They're all strangers, and I thought, wow, you know, that takes a lot of guts and a lot of compassion for somebody to do that. And you see that throughout the whole show. He's very loyal, he's just very sweet, and he just wants to help everybody and please everybody. So that's the reason why I picked him.
Yeah, he would be like my second favorite character.
Yeah, so I guess the two of these characters would be our first and second favorites for us too. Okay, so let's try another dish. So let's try the kimbap. Looks really delicious. It smells good, and the pieces are actually really big. Usually kimbap's not quite that big.
Yeah, they're really, really big.
How is it? Oh my gosh. So what's special about this kimbap is they actually use bulgogi for the meat. A lot of times kimbap's just made with ground beef, but they actually use really good quality bulgogi. Wow, this is really good.
Yeah, the bulgogi is like so good. It has a really nice flavor. And
you could tell they just like grilled it on the charcoal. Really good.
And it has a nice crunch from the takwan, which is daikon, pickled daikon.
Yeah, this is really good. Okay.
That's like, might be like my favorite kimbap I've ever had.
Me too, by far. This is really good quality kimbap. I don't think I've ever had anything like this before, because usually they'll use, you know, like, I don't want to say cheaper, but less expensive ingredients to make kimbap. And they actually have imitation crab in here too, which is really unusual. Usually it's one or the other. They don't usually put both.
Yeah, I found that a little weird, but it all tastes good.
Yeah. So next we're gonna eat the Korean pot stickers, the gunmandu.
They look so good. They look super crunchy.
Yeah,
and
these
like,
are really deep fried.
They're really golden.
Okay, so the next topic we're going to talk about is our favorite game and why.
These are really good.
I love the crunchiness.
Yeah. Well, my favorite game is the 5th game, and it's Stepping Stones. But there's like a sinister twist to it, and the stepping stones are actually made of glass. And so there's like, I believe 18, and they have to go in order, picking the left or the right one, and one of them's made of regular glass, so it'll break instantly if you step on it, and the other one's made of tempered glass, and so that one can hold the weight of 2 people. And I think just the idea of the game and like the way it plays out was just like, it was really fun to watch, and I think like the actors did an amazing job of portraying it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. That was my favorite game too, and I think the suspense and just it kept you on your seat because you didn't know what was going to happen, and when you tried to predict like, oh, I think this is going to happen, it would be something completely different. The behind the scenes was amazing too. When I watched how they filmed it, they were actually not up as high as, of course, the movie showed. They were like maybe like 4 or 5 feet up. But the actors themselves said that they were scared and it felt so real while they were filming it. So I thought that was kind of really neat to hear about their experience. The special effects were pretty amazing, and you'll see, the glass breaking and people falling and things, and it was just, I think it was filmed really well, and it was just really fun, I think, out of all the games. Not that I would want to play it in real life, but it was really, really cool to watch.
And they also used no stunt doubles for their entire show, which I think is really neat.
Yeah, so you'll see like in some of the behind the scenes, the actors are so tired after each take, they actually have to like get water and sit down, or sometimes they just plop down and lay down where they're at, just to get some rest, because it's really taking a toll on them physically and emotionally, because there's a lot of, emotional scenes, crying, and so yeah, I could imagine how much energy it took to film even just one of those scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, now question, what did you think about the guards? Because they had an interesting storyline of their own.
Yeah, they really did. So a common theory that people thought of was that when they were playing the first game that got them introduced to the Squid Game, it's called Dakji. They are given the choice of a blue or a red like paper square, and so a lot of people thought that if they chose the red square, that they would become the guards instead of the players, but it's actually proven to be wrong, because in the show, like, they show people that have chosen the red square and they ended up being the players instead. So
so that theory got debunked.
Yeah. I think that they are of similar, like, class of the players. Like, they're probably poor and, like, also have debt, so they join as guards and they get paid in that way.
So I heard an interesting theory that I think might be true. So what I had heard was the guards were actual criminals, and so they got chosen to be guards because of their criminal background, so they didn't have a problem hurting or killing anybody. And so they have a different reason why they're in the games. But in some instances, I felt like the guards' lives were even harder than the players, because, you know, they had the different levels. So you could be a circle, a diamond, a circle, a triangle, or a square. And the circle was the bottom of the barrel. So they, like, couldn't speak unless they were spoken to. They had to, you know, be isolated in their own rooms where they had no contact. And so I feel like their lives were actually harder than the players, because the players got to all be together in one room. They could make friends with each other, they could talk to each other, and they had more freedom.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, and the guards, when they were in their own rooms, they were being watched and by the square guards. So, like, they have absolutely no privacy, and
the front man.
Yeah.
The front man is like the leader of the games. He's like the one in charge of all the games. So if you wanted to compare to, like, Hunger Games, he would be like the Seneca Crane, where he's in charge of the games and he's kind of the voice and the face. Not really face, because they all wear masks, but... Okay, so next we're gonna try this seafood pancake. In Korean, it's called Panchan, which is seafood pancake, is basically what it translates to. So it also has squid in it. So I'm excited to try this. It looks really good.
So the next topic is if Il-nam's dead or not. And if you don't know, Il-nam is the #1 player. And he's, like, an older gentleman, and you find out early on that he has, like, a brain tumor and that he's, like, dying. So that's part of the reason why he's, like, in the games, is he's trying to, like, live out, like, the rest of his life doing something fun.
Well, he really enjoys these children's games, and so he didn't just want to be a spectator. He wanted to actually be in the games and experience the games, because he loves playing games so much. So there's a big debate if he's still alive or not, because the scene sort of shows that he died, but he may not have died, and so the debate is he going to be in season 2? I could see it going both ways. I could see them having this plot twist where he's not really dead. But the idea of the show, I think, is that he is dead, because there's going to be somebody else that carries on the games.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think he's dead. I mean, I guess they could have, like, faked his, like, flatline, but I think he is, like, old, and he was, like, had an illness, so I think it would make sense that he just died at the end of the show.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning towards that he did die too. And by the way, this seafood pancake is delicious. It's really good. Did you want to try it?
I'll try a little bit. They didn't really explain, like, that he was...
I think you did fine.
Okay. There's too much onion.
Yeah, get the part that has the shrimp. You didn't really get much of the pancake. So what do you think about the seafood pancake?
I'm not the biggest fan. I don't like onions, and so there's, like, a bunch of green and white onions in it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to kind of dig out the parts that don't have any onions, but I think it's really good. Here's a piece of squid. as we're talking about Squid Game. Okay, so the next topic that we wanted to go over is the main character. His name is Kian. He, from the beginning of the show, you see this constant theme where he's a little irresponsible, a little selfish, and he tends to neglect his daughter. And he does that all the way up until the end of the show. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it just shows that he doesn't, like, obviously he loves and cares about his daughter, but he obviously has, like, his priorities somewhere else. Like, for him, it was, like, the money at first, and then
gambling.
Yeah. He had a huge gambling problem, which is why he's in debt. And then in the end, like, he was going to go, like, to the States where his daughter is, and he ends up, like, turning around off the plane, and just, like, that's how they end the show, is him getting off the plane.
Well, the reason for that is, though, he wanted to take down the games. But we don't know what's going to happen with that either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they pivot and where they're going to go with this in the second season. Now, since we're on the topic of the second season, what do you think is going to happen in season 2?
A lot of people think that he's gonna, like, take the place of Ilnam as, like, the head man. I can see and understand why, but you can tell that he has, like, this deep hatred for the games because it, like, took so much away from him. So personally, I don't think it makes sense for him to, like, join them and, like help them pretty much.
Yeah, I think, again, it could go either way, and maybe the writers themselves don't even know for sure where they're going to go with this. And on one hand, I could see him going forward with taking down the games and being the one to destroy this whole empire. But on the other hand, it's kind of suggested that because a winner from before was the person who took over as the front man, that he may become the next front man. And if he's really worried about money and starts to feel that greed, he could fall into that trap. And I'm not sure if this is a clue, but he dyes his hair red at the end of the show. And so we're not really sure what that means, but I feel like maybe they're hinting at the fact that he is going to turn evil. We'll have to see in the second season to find out.
Yeah.
So the last thing that we're going to try is all the Panchan. Since they gave it to us special, I feel like we can't neglect trying it. So I'm going to try the potato salad because I love potato salad. It's really refreshing. It's different than normal potato salad. The American potato salad is very mayonnaise-y. This one actually has cucumbers in it, so it gives it a different, like, refreshing feel to it.
And I'm gonna try the seaweed because I love seaweed.
It's good. I'm gonna try the kimchi. Hopefully it's not too spicy.
It's super flavorful, the seaweed, and it's super fresh.
The kimchi is really good. So I like kimchi that's not completely ripe yet, and it tastes like fresh kimchi. It's not totally ripe. It's not so sour yet.
I'll try it. What the hell?
It sounds like we have a ship behind us. No?
Oh. I think I like when it's more sour.
That's interesting. I'm gonna try the anchovies. It's really good. It's a little spicy. It's salty, but it's supposed to be salty because you're supposed to eat it with rice, which we don't have any rice, but it's really good. I'm gonna try the sprouts.
The broccoli is pretty plain.
Is it just like steamed?
I don't even know if it's steamed. But I mean, it's broccoli.
I'm gonna try the this cucumber with some, like, it looks like jelly noodles. I'm not really sure what these are called. Very vinegary.
That's
okay.
the bean curd.
I've had better bean curd. That one that doesn't have a lot of flavor.
I don't really like bean curd, so it's okay.
So we have one last topic that we wanted to go over. So if you're in the Squid Game, which game do you think you would be best at?
I mean, I think that's hard. I think maybe the stepping stones, because when I was watching, I really wanted Gion to pick like the last number, and pretty much it ended up being the best choice because he was last to go, which means he has the best chance of like surviving, because the people in front of him are the ones that pick this, like, have to go on the stones first. And you have to be a little cold-hearted in that game if you want to win. There's a lot of like backstabbing that goes on.
So are you saying that you would be good at it because you're cold-hearted?
I think if I knew I was gonna die, I would do whatever I could to survive.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the game that I might do best at is the green light, red light. Because it's a simple concept, and in terms of like staying still, I think that I would have the best chance of getting through that game. The other games, there was too many other factors involved, where I think green light, red light was like one of the only games where you didn't have to rely on somebody else or worry that somebody's gonna like mess you up. Like, it's, it's what you do.
Well, they could if someone like pushed you.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think if I had to pick, that's the game that I think I could get through.
Yeah, the like Dalgona, that one's, there's there's definitely skill, but like the way the candy's made, it's unpredictable and it can just like break in an instant.
I think that one is the game that's the most risky. Because you don't know, like, how the candy's gonna react. There might be thicker parts and thinner parts, and you may end up breaking a piece, and then it's over.
Yeah.
You don't get a second chance.
And then also like tug of war, like that's a lot of like relying on your teammates and working together.
Yeah. So all in all, like, what did you think about the show? Like, what would you rate it?
For that kind of show, I would give it like
out of 10.
Yeah, out of 10, a 7 maybe.
Wow, okay. I probably would give it a 9. Just because it's a very unique idea in terms of shows. I mean, there's a lot of shows out there that have similar themes. This one, I think, was like one of the most different. They took children's games and turned it into something sinister, which I thought, like, creatively, that was like, wow, I was really impressed. And then all of the details that went into the characters and the games, and like just the whole idea of like good versus evil, and how to push people to their limits and see, morally and ethically, like how far they would go for money. I thought that was really clever.
I think that it was definitely really creative, and I really enjoy those type of shows where it's like these people are like having to play these like games or like puzzles, things like that, and like they typically have like their lives on the line. And I think it's really interesting to see like in what direction the writers go.
That's why I'm really excited for season 2. I really want to see where they take the story and what happens to the characters that are still here. Yeah.
Well, so far they haven't confirmed there's going to be a season 2, but given how popular and how successful the show was, I think they definitely will have a season 2, and I think it will also be really successful.
Yeah, I would say Squid Game is definitely a phenomenon. What would you say?
Yeah, like Korean shows and like music and everything like has gotten so popular, and I think this just shows like how popular these things have become. And I mean, it's done so well and everybody's talking about it. There's like so many different like videos that are made about it, like theories, all these things, and just it's like so popular. And
even Halloween costumes were sold out. Like we had to actually create these ourselves because we couldn't buy them. It's just, I am so shocked how popular it's become, but I think it's kind of the trend in the culture with the K-pop, the K-drama, just, you know, everything. And the food, Korean food has never been more popular.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see. And this is the first time we've done this kind of format where we're, you know, doing kind of a mukbang with, you know, a topic that we're talking about. If you guys like this, we would be happy to do more. Just let us know in the comments. We can do reviews on other K-dramas or, you know, K-movies. And, you know, one of the ones that comes to mind is Train to Busan. I really enjoyed that. It's a type of a zombie movie that happens on a train, and that was really good too. So if you want us to review something like that, we would be happy to do that. That would be fun too.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.